Welcome back to Counsel Culture, where we don't cancel, we counsel one another. We feel together, we reveal together so we can heal together. And in that sense, backed by popular demand, we have a bonus conversation, a well-needed conversation with the one and only Dr. Umar Johnson.
Yes, sir.
Man, we got the internet going crazy. We almost Cat Williams this thing.
Yes, sir.
But speaking of, man, something that we didn't get a chance to touch on in some of the other sessions that you stated needs to be talked about.
Yes, sir.
In this conversation, because this is all about professionals.
Yes, sir.
Really opening up and creating safe spaces to talk about things that we don't normally get to talk about.
Yes.
And that's the one thing is the infrastructure of the black family today. Black relationships between, brothers and sisters, and specifically the idea of what we're dealing with in this mental health state of the suicide rate.
Yes, sir.
And, we know the importance of therapy. We know the importance of having this type of dialogue and these conversations, but I wanted to just give you the space to speak specifically on and maybe even, share some wisdom on, how we can heal in those areas, because it's detrimental to our community.
Yes, sir.
All those things that I just stated, we're losing rapidly.
Yes, sir.
What I mean?
Yes, sir.
And so I'll let you, take the floor on where we probably even need to open up and discuss these things.
I'm going to start with the COVID quarantine, Brother Nick, when the kids had to stay home.
Yeah.
The suicide rate for black girls went through the roof.
Really?
What was it about COVID quarantine that led so many of our teenage girls to start taking their lives?
Wow. And isn't it again, I'm maybe paraphrasing it, but they say the lowest
elderly black women historically were the lowest group. And middle-aged white men were the highest suicide group.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
So black women,
black girls.
Okay.
No, black women is increasing.
Really?
Yeah, black women never used to commit suicide.
At
now
all.
They are.
Yeah.
But black girls are the fastest growing since COVID.
Wow.
And my particular belief around this issue, Brother Nick, even though public school is horrible for our children, it was one of the only times our children could get a break from the trauma of the home. Do you see that? I might not be learning, but I ain't got to get bullied by my brother. I ain't got to get molested by my uncle. I ain't got to get emotionally traumatized by my mom. I ain't got to worry about the abandonment of my dad. You see that?
I see that.
So for school, although they're not learning, for many of them, it was the only break they could get.
Right.
And just to double back on that ADHD topic really quick, Nick, I often find two competing explanations for so-called ADHD. One you already hit on because you went through it.
Right.
And that is a gifted child whose giftedness is being ignored and blamed on ADHD.
Right.
He ain't got ADHD, he's smart. And the curriculum ain't challenging him.
Right.
That's why he hyper and inattentive, because he's bored. Right. The other one, Brother Nick, is a child who comes to school dealing with emotional problems from home and can't focus on the work because I'm reliving the trauma of the house.
Right.
So now we got these teenage black girls committing suicide. And one of the reasons why they're committing suicide is the fatherlessness has made them vulnerable to so many types of abuse and exploitation that they take in their own lives.
Right.
I personally was part of a situation
where
a girl in a high school in Philadelphia, we found her in the girls' bathroom, wrist slit.
Wow.
Guess why? Her boyfriend broke up with her. That is how desperate a lot of our girls are because of the absentee fatherism. And when I say fatherism, I don't just mean her biological. I'm saying black men. Because here's the thing, Brother Nick. Every woman on the planet Earth, and of course I'm focusing on my sisters, but I want what's best for the others as well. But I'm gonna focus on us. Every black woman needs a black man who genuinely cares and loves about her, who doesn't want what's between her legs. You understand me? Normally, that's your father, but a lot of them, the fathers ain't there. That could be your grandfather. He might be an ancestor. That could be your uncle. He might be stationed off in the military zone somewhere. You understand?
Facts.
Every girl needs a man who's intimately in love with him, but not sexually.
Right.
When she don't get that, she go looking for that. And that's why we got a teenage pregnancy problem in the black community. If we didn't have a fatherless problem, if we didn't have a fatherlessness problem, there would be no teenage pregnancy problem. Teenage pregnancy is not about sex. It's not about promiscuity. It's about a girl looking for the father's validation. And because he's not there, she goes shopping elsewhere. Now let's bring this to the black on black love. As you know, black people are the last to marry and the first to divorce. And the black woman is the last to get married and the first to get divorced, right? Now, because we are the most traumatized community, that trauma automatically affects our relationships. You can't talk about healthy black male-female love if you don't talk about black on black community dysfunction.
Right.
Why would the family be functional if no other institution is?
Right.
You see that? Don't divorce the family from everything else we got going in the community, which is dysfunctional. Now, too often, Nick, from a psychological perspective, we go into relationships looking to fulfill needs that our parents never did.
Right.
So the relationship is a means to an end of getting something you never got.
Right.
And the main things we're looking for from our opposite partner, we're looking for intimacy and love. We're looking for availability and presence. We're looking for trust and dependency. And we're looking for reciprocity and the ability to share. Those are 4 things you needed from your mother, 4 things you needed from your father. If you got both, you can love and you can leave. If you didn't get both, you might be unstable, insecure, and unstable in certain areas.
That's powerful. That's more powerful than the 5 love languages.
You see?
You need to coin that and write a book on that
And
one.
on top of that, Brother Nick, what the opposite gender parent did to you or didn't do matters most. See, my father could have been present. My father and I could have been intimate father-son, healthy. My father could have been trustworthy. We could have been able to share and exchange. But what if I couldn't do it with my mom?
Didn't get any of those.
Do you see that?
Right.
I'm going to look for a woman to do for me what my mother could not. You ever been in a relationship with a woman where you felt like you was more than a husband? You had to be the father too. See that? That's where that comes from, Nick. She had an unmet need. Daddy didn't do it. So now I need Nick to do this. And you weighing on me too much because I'm your king.
Yeah.
But now you want me to be your dad. I didn't sign up for both roles. And you draining me.
Yeah.
I love you, but you draining me. If you don't pull back off this father role, I might got to leave this relationship because in essence, what you have become to me is a spiritual vampire. What is a spiritual vampire, Nick? A spiritual vampire is a psychologically, emotionally unhealthy African floating around the community looking for somebody to heal illnesses and injuries to their soul that only their parents can fix.
Wow.
Emotional vampires think that if I find the right man, if I find the right woman, he can heal me. No, he can't. That damage was done by your family of origin and it got to be repaired there. You ever watch one of those old horror movies, Freddy Krueger, Jason or something, and they want to finally kill Jason or Freddy.
Right.
And the person comes and tell them, you got to go back to where they was born. You got to go back to the beginning.
Right.
The same thing is in relationships.
The origin story.
The same thing is, and what I tell black women, if you know you weighing too heavily on your king, go find you a surrogate dad. Go find you an elder, somebody who's too old to want something from you, and ask him, can he be that person that can give you honest advice and a hug when you need it? And the same thing with men. Because for men who didn't have their mother, not only do they look for women to fulfill those needs, Nick, but you know what else? They become the domestic abusers. If you were to interview men who abuse their women of any race, but we're talking about us, you will find that disproportionately, they were either abandoned by their mothers or abused by their mothers in some way. They carry that pain in them. It never went away. And guess what? When the girlfriend starts letting them down and disappointing them,
It's transferred to her.
the transference from the mother.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you know this, well, you probably do because you read the news. We dealing with an epidemic of black men killing 8 black women, choking them, killing it. We never did that. We never did that. And now we doing it. Going back to your mental health piece. Black men, because we are the most oppressed, we're the most traumatized. But you know what else? Because of our definitions of masculinity, which says a man can't be vulnerable to get help, we're the least likely to go get some damn help. Black men are in pain, but we cover it up with the exterior. But when we get behind the privacy of our door in our home, we let all that pain out on the only person who loves us unconditionally, and that's the woman. You see, I always tell people this. If you don't like you, why are you expecting him to like you? Why are you looking for a relationship if you ain't got one with yourself first? You don't like yourself. Why are you shopping for? If you don't like yourself, why would anybody else like you? You don't even like you.
You don't like yourself, and you looking
and I'm supposed to spend
somebody
the rest of
else
my life
to
with
like
you? That's insane.
Yeah.
Same thing with self-esteem. I tell people, if you got low self-esteem, you have no business dating somebody with high self-esteem because the only thing you could be to them is an emotional slave. We always talk about being equally yoked economically. We talk about being equally yoked educationally.
Right.
What about being equally yoked psychologically?
Yeah.
Because guess what,
And
Nick?
emotionally.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
If Nick Cannon dates a sister who has no self-confidence,
Right.
first of all, you're not going to want her because without self-confidence, you're not attractive.
Right.
But on top of that, you're going to end up being her slave master.
Yeah. Dominating her. Then she want to call me a narcissist.
Because she has no... But don't get me wrong, though, Nick. I'm going to say this, though. I'm going to say this. For us black men, we do have a narcissism problem in relationships with our women.
100%.
Do you understand me?
Yeah.
We have
because that's an ego problem.
It's an ego problem.
Yeah.
Let me ask you. I'm just going to put you on the spot.
All right.
Being as successful as you are,
Right.
do you think you've struggled with narcissism in your romances?
Absolutely. But I'm doing the work. So I know the the narcissistic personality disorder. I've taken the test.
Okay.
So in that sense, but again,
but even men who are not where you are, suffer with the narcissism.
Because it's a spectrum.
Yes,
and,
sir. Yes, sir.
I don't have problems with rage, which a lot of men in our community do.
Absolutely.
I don't have a problem with rage. That's probably from doing the work.
Yeah. Suppressed
and then
oppression.
I'm empathetic. I do have empathy.
Which is good because a lot of men don't.
Right.
A lot of men don't. I just got.
But all the other narcissists, I think I'm special.
Okay.
I think I'm right. I am a natural manipulator.
Okay.
You know what I mean? I mean, that's what, as entertainers, that's what we are.
Yes, sir. Yes,
so, again, I know how to act in a way to make people feel.
I got you.
But I deal now that, because I'm doing the work here on Counsel
You're working
Culture,
on self.
Yeah, I do know, but I have struggled with that in many relationships. Because, and really, I have this narcissistic energy that I put forth because it's protecting the little boy, Nick.
Yes.
That dealt with some trauma and abandonment issues.
Understood.
So in that, I want my woman to do as I say. And then I also come from, a strong, religious and Christian background where there's a hierarchy of God, man, woman.
That's right.
You know what I mean?
Right. Although I would say man and woman should be side by side.
I'm talking about what I came up under.
Okay, I got you.
I still believe that.
I got you.
But I mean, because there's a subservient idealism that comes with a lot of our, church going.
Yes, sir. That's correct. That's correct.
Backgrounds of where you do as your man
They're very
say.
patriarchal.
Yeah, so I've learned and grown out of that system.
Okay.
But I've definitely had, issues of, I know, therefore you must follow and understand.
Yes.
But now I understand that there is a balance. And, that's probably one of the things I've struggled with the most in my relationships.
Okay.
Is, my narcissistic behavior.
One thing we as men do poorly, I've been there before too. When you've been through trauma,
right,
whether it's home or romance, we are less courageous at becoming vulnerable again to give another woman an opportunity to love us the way we need to be loved.
Say that.
Black women often chase the women away that we want because we don't allow them to love us. We are shut off emotionally, and we try to substitute the shutting off emotionally with providing them with the lavish lifestyle.
Yeah.
The gifts, the sex, the social life.
Guilty.
Do you see that?
Guilty.
And so what happens is we will say, I can't keep a woman. It's not true. You're chasing her away through your nonverbals and your emotional detachment. There's nothing that starves a woman more than when she tries to love us and we don't let her.
All right, so then I wasn't even gonna go here, but since we here, because I know you
I'm a
dealt in
therapist.
this world,
Yes, sir.
but you also dealt in this world.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
A man with multiple women.
Mm-hmm.
I've been told by many different things, and it circles back to my narcissism.
Yes, sir.
That one, and we don't even have to deal with this, just the ideas of monogamy, but then the idea of how do you explain, especially successful men, not just subscribing to the idea of monogamy, or just not, even if they do, there's still, one woman isn't enough for them.
Let me go here. I'm going to go pro monogamy, and I'm going to go pro polygyny.
Okay. Polygyny, not polygamy.
Right.
Polygyny.
Well, polygamy is plural marriage.
Yeah, marriage.
Polygyny is a man with more than one wife.
Right.
And polyandry is a woman with more than one husband.
And then polyamory is just the idea.
Everybody got multiple. That's just a freak off. Because I don't really understand. I don't understand why anybody wants to be in a polyamorous relationship.
That's everybody.
That's an orgy. Just call it polyorgy.
Yeah, right.
I don't see no benefit to that. That's just crazy. You
They
know,
just turning up.
8 people
That's
living in
a
the
Diddy
house.
party.
Yes. Who came up with that? Because that ain't African. But here's where I'm gonna go. Here's where I'm gonna go next.
He wrote that one down.
I don't see why. That's crazy. Now, I'm going to look at polygyny from an African-centered perspective and from a matriarchal lineage. Because from a matriarchal perspective in African culture, Brother Nick, it was the women who created polygyny. It was the women who said the men are going to have more than one wife. And do you know why they did that? Because they came from a principle of Ubuntu. I am because we are.
Yeah.
I'm not winning unless my sister winning. Yeah. And since men die sooner than women on average, and of course they die because of war and other unnatural factors, we normally outlive by women.
Right.
We got to make sure the community is stable. And if we ain't got enough men to go around, the community won't be stable.
And it's also that idea of tribalism, right? To where the man, if there's a successful man in the tribe, he wants to be able to take care of as many of the people in his tribe as possible.
But from the matriarchal, it was the women who came to the men and said, "You're going to take on more." I want
to be your wife.
Right, but you're going to take on more than me.
Yeah.
You're going to, not because I want to share my man.
She needs you, she needs you, and she needs you
because the community needs it. Polygyny is not about personal preference.
Right.
It's about making sure all the children got a dad and all the women got a husband, because you know, like I know, because Black America suffers from a shortage of Black males. Cemetery, penitentiary, right? Yeah. So what do women do when they can't find a man of their own? I don't care how Christian they are, how Muslim they are, how Hebrew they are, they will share a married man. Yeah. And one of the contradictions that Black women have to deal with, who claim that they are not for polygyny, if you are not for polygyny, why is it we can often find single Black women being the mistress to a married Black man? If you are against plural marriage, how did you manage to end up as his mistress and he's married? So do you know what you're telling me? You're not against polygyny. You're against being accountable for it. You don't want nobody to know you are a co-wife. You see that? As long as it stays under the cover.
Deep, Dr. Umar.
but we got to deal with these issues. And as far as monogamy goes, and I'm going to do more research on this, Brother Nick, but my research has shown me there has never been a monogamous society on the face of this earth, only on paper. Don't get me wrong. You've always had men with one wife, but you have always had men with more than one wife.
So this is what I would say in that sense, and in my understanding.
Yes.
I don't subscribe to monogamy, and because I failed at it, attempting to do it so many times. But I have seen
I don't believe it's natural for alpha males, period.
I have seen it done successfully.
So have I. And I've seen it done pathologically.
Yeah, up under the guise of spirituality and putting God first. And having some discipline to where my reverence for God, as they say, is supposed to be, the Father, Son, and the church. So it's, in that sense of God, Jesus, and the church.
The Trinity.
Therefore, that same hierarchy represents the patriarch and the matriarch together. And that's why they become. And it's, he who finds a wife finds a good thing and should be exalted. Marriage should be exalted in that sense of it. You can't do it without a strong infrastructure of God and therefore some spiritual practice. That's the only time I've seen it done.
I agree with you. I agree with you. And me having been raised Muslim, I've seen it done successfully. And I've also seen it done dysfunctionally. So I understand the Black woman's concerns. Because number one, we have sexually objectified the Black woman too much to really honor her in a polygynous arrangement. I understand, my sisters. Number two, Black men are so sexually, a lot of us, not all, are so sexually irresponsible. We have a lower chakra ADHD problem. You understand?
Guilty.
Where I can see us exploiting the opportunity for multiple marriage. You understand that? And then another big issue that sisters bring up against polygamy, and I understand, Dr. Umar. Polygyny. Dr. Umar, you say that we all come to relationships with our previous family trauma. We do. So you want me, with my trauma, to marry this man with his trauma, and then he gonna bring two other women with their trauma. Is that not just a traumatized household?
Yeah.
It can very well be if y'all haven't done the work of self.
And if there's no order.
And there's no order. And most of us don't do the work of self, Nick. You wanna know why? Because working on yourself is the hardest war you can ever fight.
Right.
To conquer your internal issues is a war we are more scared of than fighting white supremacy. Most people go into relationships to distract from the need for self-care.
Yeah.
You see that?
Yeah.
Which is why I tell people, are you happy? Because if you're not happy, you have no business getting married. Because if you think you're going to marry Nick Cannon and he's going to make you happy being Nick Cannon, you're wrong. You know why? Because happiness is an emotion, and every emotion comes from inside you. Nobody makes you happy. Not Denzel. Nobody. You understand me?
Not Drake.
Nobody.
No.
If you were miserable before you got married, you're going to be miserable during the marriage. Because guess what? Marriage doesn't make problems go away. They explode them.
Yeah.
Do you see that?
Facts.
So you got, man, I'm going to marry her so she stopped thinking I'm cheating. She's not going to stop thinking you cheating.
Gonna make it worse.
Just going to make it worse.
Just tightened it up.
It's going to make it worse.
Yeah.
You see, and then the other issue too, Nick, is when we date, we're not transparent with each other. Both people are selling each other an idea.
A representation.
Absolutely. Dating is the only time you go shopping when you don't know the ingredients to the product. When you go buy a new car, you know what it got: AC, heat. You go to the restaurant, this is what we cook our green. But when you start dating, you don't get no list that say this woman been raped, molested, her father left her.
Yeah.
She's a foster kid, but she don't want to tell you that because she think that's going to turn you off if she didn't grow up. You see that?
This man's a narcissist.
And guess when you start finding out what's really wrong with him. Once you get deep enough and in love enough, and then the true person surfaces. This is why you can date somebody. You ever see people dated for 10, 20 years? They was good.
Yeah.
Got married and divorced the first year. How y'all was together for 20 years? You know why? Because your ego that projects that false sense of who you are to the person. It stops lying under 3 conditions. The mask gets turned off, tore off under 3 conditions. Guess what they is?
What are they?
A woman gets pregnant, y'all move in together, or y'all get married. Those are the 3 conditions that forces the ego to reveal who you really are.
Right.
This is why I tell people you should never marry somebody if you didn't live with them for at least 3 months. There's no way I'm marrying a woman. There's no way I would let my daughters marry a man who you didn't cohabitate with for at least 3 months. Because guess what, Nick? When you were just picking her up and dating for 10 years, that's easy. But when you go and sleep in her house, you sleep in her house. You didn't know she had a secret cell phone. You didn't know her ex-husband knocks on the door all times of the night. You didn't know she don't like to clean up the damn house. You didn't know she don't wash her hands before she, you see what I'm saying? You start seeing. You didn't know her mother come over here and post up on the couch all night with her funky toe. Do you see?
Facts.
It's not until you live with somebody that you really know who they are. Now, I do tell women this, Nick, because we can abuse that. We'll live with a woman for 20 years and say, I still ain't made up my mind yet. Y'all damn near to the cemetery. What you mean you ain't made up your mind? So I tell sisters 2 years. If you've been living with a man consistently under the same roof for 2 years, he knows if he's going to marry you. It's up to you whether you're going to be the fool to hang around after 2 years. Because as you know, being a man, after a year, you got a pretty good idea whether this could be a wife, if she could be a wife. After the second year, you pretty much know. So if a man's still telling you, I don't know if you're the one after 3, 4, 5 years, he wants his cake and eat it too.
Is Dr. Umar married?
I'm not, but I will be. I plan on having 2 queens, but I got to take my time. And the reason I got to take my time is being around successful men like you has turned me into a celebrity, and people forget I'm really a revolutionary. I'm not a celebrity.
So you're dealing with that whole different type of problem now.
I'm not listen,
they own you.
They don't understand. They think I'm a celebrity. I'm not a celebrity. I'm an activist, a Pan-Africanist, a psychologist. I'm not a celebrity. So the problem with that, as you know, because that's your life.
It comes with a lot.
You don't know
who to trust.
You don't know who to trust.
It's a plethora of junk food in front of you, and you looking for the substance.
Where's the protein at? You know what I mean? So, but I have to, because as you know, I'm working on a school.
Absolutely.
Them boys need to see me with a woman. There ain't no 2 ways around it. I can't rush though. You know, but based on my spiritual tradition, I practice Ifa out of the Yoruba culture of Nigeria. And my Babalawo priest has told me through divination that my woman will show up once the school is ready. So he told me you are not to look for her now because you will run her away because you ain't got the time for her. Absolutely. Focus on FDMG. And then,
I mean, and we'll wrap that because I want to talk about that as well, because
let's do it.
I'm a full supporter.
Yes, sir.
And you've caught a lot of flack.
Yes, I have.
Yes, I have. Your Frederick Douglass Academy.
Yes, sir.
And Specifically, I want to talk about this too. I mean, but you know, I've even seen people like, you know, DJ Vlad, who we both been on his platform before. God bless him.
Never again. Never
you know,
again.
we live and we learn.
We live and we learn. We live and we learn.
Same thing. I said, I never put on a dress again.
Yes,
I'll never go on Vlad
I'm
again.
never going on Vlad again. That's two of us.
But those critiques.
Yes, sir.
When you know that you're coming from a place of goodness, you're coming from a place
all
of
love
productivity,
for your people.
You're coming from you're really putting forth in the school. Tell us all about the school and then talk directly to those people who say that it is a scam. That they're just donating. You've been raising money for 20-something years.
Oh my God!
Can
we please stop changing the years? I heard 20.
I've heard exactly.
I think Vlad said 14. 14 years ago, I was working on my pre-doctoral internship. What are you talking? I didn't even know me 14 years.
That's clear.
So anyhow, the timeline, quick timeline.
Yeah.
2014.
Yes.
A friend of mine called me, said, Dr. Umar, the historically black college, St. Paul's in North Carolina, Southern Virginia is for sale.
Right.
They wanted $2 million, a whole campus, Nick, for $2 million.
Right.
I said, we got to do this.
Yeah.
So we start raising the money. We didn't get it.
Right.
So it was sold to an Asian company. They own it.
Yeah.
I'm hoping one day they resell it because I still want it.
Right.
It was founded by Father Russell, who's a close friend of Booker T. Dr. George Washington Carver used to visit.
Wow.
You feel me?
Yeah.
We let an HBCU get sold away from the people.
Yeah.
So anyhow, I said, this is 14.
That was only $2 million. That's
2014.
Crazy. Yeah.
So this April will be 10 years from when we started the fundraiser.
Yeah.
10 years in April, not 14, 20, 30, right?
Yeah.
So anyhow, Nick, once that got sold, we said we just going to find us a regular school building.
Yeah.
I thought we was going to be in Detroit because Detroit has so many schools that we could afford.
Yeah.
But guess what? Once the Archdiocese found out who I was, they refused to sell. They shut me. There was a Catholic school in Philly. They shut me. Catholic school in Trenton, New Jersey. They shut me.
So
Catholic
now it ain't
school.
even about the money.
It ain't about the money. Yeah. You got to find somebody to sell your property.
Yeah.
So then in 2017, I'm on LoopNet because that's where I got most of my school sources. And I see the school in Wilmington, Delaware. I'm like, Delaware, that's only 30 minutes down the road from Philly.
Yeah.
So I'm going to the Nat Turner celebration 2017. You remember when we had the Great North American Eclipse?
Yeah.
That was when. So I stop at the school on August the 20th. And of course, my birthday is August 21st, which is the same day as the Nat Turner Award.
Yeah.
So I stop at the school. I look at it. It's modern. Like this school ain't old at all.
Yeah.
So when I come back from Nat Turner land, I have to go to Cuba to get my EFI initiation. My great grandfather was from Cuba. So I did my initiation there. Right. So when I came back, I finally looked into the school. I said, this is it. They wanted $2 million. Right. So this is summer 2017. Yeah. I couldn't afford it. Right. I said, we ain't got $2 million. If that's the case, I would have had St. Paul.
Yeah.
So don't you know, from the August of 17 until February of 19, when we bought it, I was in negotiations with the owners. Like, let's sell it to me. That's all we got. Sell it. And then one day I emailed him and checked on him again. He said, give me what you got. Take it. Wow. I said, oh, shit. I'm like, did he really just? Yeah. I ran down there. We did the closing on February 7th, 2019. That's when we bought the school. So for the past 5 years, we've been trying to renovate. Right. You know what the problem is? Unscrupulous black contractors screwing us over, not doing the work. Money wasn't so much of the issue. Right. We still need more because we got to renovate the high school. But for the Garvey building, we was good on the money. Yeah. Couldn't find the damn work. Right. So then last year, I made a decision. We're going to go with the white contractors. I can't wait on black people no more. Nick will never get this done. Right. I brought the white folks and they did it in 1 year.
Wow.
So where are we right now?
Currently.
The update right now, all the major renovations are done. Electric done, plumbing done, HVAC done, sprinkler system done, all is done. Right. Now we have 2 inspections we got to pass to get our building occupancy, certificate of occupancy. We got to do an L&I inspection and fire department inspection. Right. We ready for the fire department. Right. But L&I, the building got to be moving ready. Right. So we're waiting on our fire water company to make a couple small repairs so we can put the drop ceiling back. Right. Once we put the drop ceiling back, we're going to paint. Right. Once we paint, we're going to do the floors because we took the old rugs out. Yeah. Once we do the floors, we ready for the inspection. Right. So we bouncing around the timeline. Right. So I'm expecting a community grand opening this summer. Okay. Community. Yeah. And then we'll have a year to get ready for the children next year. We're going to start 2nd, 3rd, and 4th grade, and then we're going to go up a grade and down a grade every year. Yeah. So the 2nd year will be 1st through 5th, 3rd year will be K through 6th, 4th year will be PK through 7th, and 5th year will be daycare through 8th, which gives us 5 years to get the high school ready. Yeah. You feel me? Powerful. Now, as far as me scamming, the IRS just did a full audit on me because of these YouTubian, if I could say, coons. Okay? The IRS audited us last year. We passed it. So if I was scamming, you think the FBI gonna let Dr. Umar get away with a scam?
Not at all.
Think? I'm sure they on my phone, my email, my internet. They know my flight schedule.
Yeah.
Come on, man. We passed the IRS audit with flying colors.
There it is.
Nothing but lies.
Y'all heard it. It's official. School's opening soon. Invite me.
Yes,
I'll
sir.
pull up.
Come on through. Come on
there.
through. Yes, sir.
This has been a bonus edition, a bonus session right here
Yes,
on
sir.
Counsel Culture. Still another powerful one. Dr. Umar Johnson, man.
One love.
Love it.